Hey, Internet! It's Paul, it's Matt, the Dork Lords. We are here talking about Star Trek Discovery Season 2, Episode 4, An Obol for Charon. I have the sniffles, Paul.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, go ahead. Paul just learned this. Now Paul has the sniffles, too. But we're going to carry on, because sniffles be damned.
Yeah, no, don't follow the pattern of Discovery of sneezing on my face.
Oh, good point. We learned there's a lot about spores and things being infected, and that's bad. The ship, ship gets a virus.
Yes.
And don't sneeze on the elevator.
Clicker guy, don't sneeze in the elevator.
Oh yeah, that guy. His name's Linus. We know that's the crewman's name. He is the apparent attempt at comic relief on the show now. He was the guy that sneezed on dude soon to be dead.
Yeah.
In the elevator.
Man, that's what they should do.
It's like anytime he jokes with somebody, that person dies.
Oh no, just sneeze on him.
Oh, okay. Because it almost works. Because he jokes with Saru, and Saru almost dies.
Yes, yeah.
So there you go. That would be a hilarious undertone of don't talk to Linus. He'll kill you. But yeah, Linus has having a cold sucks. Okay, great. That's good. That's good comedy. All right. So an Obol for Charon. That's Greek mythology. Charon, it's the boat master, river Styx. You pay him an obol. It's your coin, your passage to the afterlife. And so that obviously has ramifications for this ancient alien
library
that they find. And perhaps for Saru, although, that Saru's death the rug is pulled out from that idea at the very end. He's not dead.
His death has been greatly exaggerated.
Correct. Much like Mark Twain. So we've got some story. The main storyline is this giant 100,000-year-old alien entity that they run on. It sends a virus into the ship, and they think it's hostile until Michael Burnham decides, wait, no, it's trying to communicate. And then they're like, oh, all we got to do is drop the shields and it's fine.
Yes.
The shields are good, apparently. Damn, those shields are great. I will say I enjoyed the creativity of the universal translator.
Yeah, that was good.
Fritz.
That was good.
I didn't understand necessarily exactly what was happening. Like, what?
So rather than translating anybody says to English, it would translate what you said into another language.
It wasn't that, for instance, Captain Pike suddenly was speaking Klingon.
Nope.
He was speaking English, but it was being coming out as Klingon.
I think he was mostly coming out. Burnham was coming out as Klingon. He was coming out as French, I think, a lot.
Yeah, there was a lot of French going on. Okay. So, yeah, it was a little confusing as to exactly what the process of the thing was, but the effect of having everybody talking different languages was pretty cool. I liked that. That obstacle to overcome.
Yes. Was
a kind of unique obstacle.
Yes.
Well done. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And so, this virus is shutting down the life support systems. They're having really trouble holding this thing back. And it is only when they discover that this thing is dying and it wants to give its last will and testament before it passes on, that they take in the data. It explodes. Before it explodes, it kind of pushes them to a safe distance away. It was nice of it. It was dying, right? Yeah. It's like, before I die, let me do this one last nice thing. Of course, it wants to keep the data.
Yeah. It's selfish.
Save the data. Kill the people. Save the data. So they now have just who knows what's in that record. I mean, we hear a little bit of it. We hear Pike listening to a translation of. It seems like a history, basically. But I have 100,000 years of history.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll give more information on the Kelpiens and their difficulties through that. I wonder.
Perhaps. I think they'll probably get a more first-hand account when they're probably going to go to Kaminar. That's in one of the other storylines. It involves. We'll talk about that in a second. But yes, I feel like if you think about the effect on future episodes, I think this 100,000 years of knowledge will have some effect.
Sure.
And also, I'm guessing Kaminar will be a destination for the Discovery at some point in this season.
Okay.
Is my thought. So So yeah, that's pretty much the way that gets wrapped up. One of the other plot lines is Saru, because this giant alien presence has arrived, it has activated this genetic
process, basically, that he believes is the coming of his death.
Right. That
the
Kelpiens, they go through this genetic process, this metamorphosis, and then it turns in, they die. And it's part of the culling with this other race. The Baul. If you saw the short trek that came on before this season, we see Saru's kind, they once a season they all gather. A certain group of them gather around this signpost and they get beamed up into a ship. In their minds, I don't know. They know it's the Baul. They know it's not like we're going to heaven, but they call them Baul. So I think they realize they're going somewhere, but they're sacrifices basically. So we don't know if they get killed at the end of that or if they become slaves. They think they're dying, and so apparently once they realize they've been selected, this process takes over, and death is inevitable in Saru's mind.
Right.
So he's preparing himself. I got it. I got the thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's it.
Here we can't stop the process. Nothing can stop it.
Yeah.
I'm dying. It's horrible. So, as part of his death process, he wants Michael Burnham to end his suffering early. It's like, look, I'm dying. Just kill me. I'll just be done with the pain. All that's left is pain. We do see his room, which I thought was kind of cool. On the ship, he's got all these plants.
Oh, I didn't think about his room at all.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, they had a new location.
Right. I agree
room.
that it's good to see the room. I mean, one thing that we discussed before, because you haven't gotten to all the different plot points, because they could have gotten rid of the whole "what is Spock doing?"
Yes, I was saving that, but yes, the Spock line.
Right. Well, I was not happy with how the doctor was dealing with it. Like, the more, dialogue from her basically saying, wow, your body is so different than anything I know, which is why I can't tell you anything about, where it's like, have you had this before or whatever? It's like, that could have been more dialogue in it. Because then, it's like...
You're saying when the doctor's talking to Saru, trying to diagnose his problem.
Yeah, and then when he's like, no, I'll just go to my room and die.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't do anything to make you more comfortable here? I shouldn't be there to, even though you're going to die, to learn more about Kelpiens? I mean,
I feel like they short-shrifted that element of it in order to add in try to make it relevant for Spock.
Yeah. Well... Yes, trying to make the whole damn story relevant for Spock. And then, yes, even that little bit that should have been just relevant about Saru and Michael's relationship.
So we'll finish. Yeah, we'll finish this Spock part here, and then we'll talk Spock. So, yeah, the final, Saru brings out the knife that we saw his sister using to prune flowers back on Kaminar. He still has it, obviously, and he's like, please cut my ganglia off. And I guess that would kill him, is what it sounded like.
Yeah. So he wouldn't go crazy.
But he says, before I go, one last thing, you need to make up with Spock. And she's like tearfully like, okay, I'll do it. And she goes to cut the thing, the ganglia, and they fall off on their own.
She's like, I just barely touched it.
Dave, are you alive? Are you dead? Nope, you're alive. Okay, I didn't do it. And so she waited just long enough.
Yeah.
If she goes ahead and agrees and then cuts the ganglia off right away, I guess he's in trouble. I don't know, maybe not. Anyway,
we don't know.
But the ganglia fall off.
They didn't have a doctor there.
And he is not dead. And so far, he's not insane.
Yes.
The idea was that the Kaminarans or the Kelpiens that resist the process go insane, was the idea I got. But it sounds like there's this is a stage in their growth, their evolution, where they're like, we get these danger sensing things and keep us fearful for a while until we're grown enough maybe to we don't need them. And so then they drop off, and then we're powerful. But in the dropping off, they interpreted the dropping off as now it's time to die. And so they were just all dying off. And so he's like, look, our whole race is built on a lie. Yeah. We always thought that's it, so we might as well go and be of service to meals, I don't know, for the Baul. But no, I must, so he wants to go and I'm sure save his people. It was weird anyway, the idea that we talked about this when we talked about the short treks, but the Baul, we don't know that they have warp capability. That seems to be the legal line that separates us out, because they have spaceships, they have teleportation technology. They're obviously an incredibly superior culture in terms of technologically to the Kelpiens, and they're taking them off, regularly to either as food or slaves. We're not sure which, but it seems like the Federation would step in that situation and go, "Hey, Baul, no, we don't let you go eat a bunch of sentient critters. That's not really part of what we allow." So I'm not sure why the Starfleet's not stepping in and dealing with it from the Baul's end. I get from the Kelpien end, leave them to be, but
I don't know. I feel like if you forget about the original series, where they butted in,
which this show does,
so much they butted in. The whole thing about the Prime Directive is not to interfere with other things. Now that's a war,
they call it General Order 1 right now.
I think generally when they do that, they're protecting people that are in the Federation. So somebody who, even if they did have war capabilities and is not a part of the Federation, why should they be sticking their nose into that necessarily? Yes, it's bad, and it's a bad thing, but I don't know. It'd be interesting to go through.
I think from what you're saying though is okay. I get the idea that they're not interfering because of General Order 1. You're saying maybe it's not a General Order 1 thing. It's just we can't help everybody. So,
well, it's like we're not interfering with the Kelpiens because they're not they're not warp capable.
All right.
And the other thing is, here's maybe, even if the Baul were warp capable, it's not like, if they're not part of the Federation, why would they care?
All right. I kind of feel like they would, but
really, why?
Well, they've made contact with this Kelpien. He's now
but only him.
Yeah, but in other words, they now understand what's happening. You feel like they'd be invested in going, all right, maybe we'll end the suffering of this planet.
Yeah, I think my feeling is, I could be wrong.
They're space cops.
Yeah, right.
They're the space cops.
I think they are. I think they're dealing with people that they consider to be part of their, And so anytime in the past they've done something, it's with people who are in the Federation. Or they're either being attacked by someone who's not in the Federation, but the people they're attacking are in the Federation. That's my guess.
All right, fair enough.
If I had to guess.
Fair enough. I think the Baul are going to be relevant to a future episode in this season.
I would assume. Because is Saru, is he going to be like, I want to change the world?
Yes.
Because
he even says now that the ganglia are gone, he's like, I feel more powerful.
Right.
He's like, oh wait, he's a madman.
Right. So who knows? So you might want to do something about it, and in that situation, who knows? He might try to enlist members of the Starfleet, but they might have to sort of decommission themselves.
Okay.
Or something.
Or a Section 31. Who knows? Because that group's out there now.
They are out there, yeah. Then I guess you'd just be making an argument why Section 31 would care. If anybody should care, they shouldn't.
They shouldn't. Right, exactly.
It's wait, where are our political, unless,
But it will be interesting to see now that there's obviously these threat ganglia were all about sensing fear and the coming of death. He doesn't have that anymore. It'll be interesting to see Doug Jones play this character now of I assume there's going to be a transformation in his personality.
I would assume.
So that's kind of interesting to see how that goes.
Different,
right? Already.
At that point, yeah.
Yeah. But the they did this deathbed thing where it's like, I'm dying. Oh God, I want you, my last breath. I want you to make up with Spock. And then they have their cake and eat it too because he doesn't die. So, but Michael uses this deathbed promise to go back and say, all right, I'm going to go help with Spock, because they shoehorned in my opinion, an unconvincing character arc for Michael in this episode, where she starts the episode with, hey, I know we're about to find Spock and all, but I don't want to be a part of it anymore. I don't want to hurt him, and I don't know. She suddenly, it just feel like a switch got turned. I know she was talking to her mom, Amanda, and she had it out with her, but I didn't believe that Michael would be of such a mind to be like, I don't want to face Spock anymore. But she announces that to Pike in the beginning, and then so by the end, when there's this not deathbed promise of, okay, I'll make it up with Spock, she then goes and tells Pike, I'm back on the, so kind of like, well, I'm hitting status quo. Exactly what you thought I was at the beginning of the episode, that's where I am now. And I mentioned our last recap.
Yes.
That I was beginning to see this quest for Spock as the annoying quest for Spock, a la video games that never let you reach, do this, satisfy this criteria, and you'll achieve this thing. You satisfy their criteria? Nope, we've changed the rules. Now you have to satisfy this criteria. And so they did it again in a way. They're like, oh, now his ship, it's off, and we've got a warp signature, so we're gonna chase his ship, but not get him. And I don't. He's not in the trailer for next episode either. So this is a mid-season, I think, at the earliest thing, which is coming up, I guess. Mid-season will be like what, episode 6 or 7?
I would assume.
But they're gonna play this off.
This time it wasn't. I'm looking for Spock. Oh, he's over there? Let me just go. No, stop, don't go. Now it's like, oh, he's over there? Okay, I'm about to go. No, stop.
Yeah, something literally stopped you in space.
Stop.
We have a thing.
Deal with it. Okay, once you're done, now you can go again.
And what was a little odd, or didn't seem particularly like a realistic problem to me, was, okay, here's this thing, it's killing everyone.
Yes.
This giant thing is a life support's going down. We got people trapped below decks.
Yeah.
Literally, the ship is helpless.
Yep.
Oh, and we've only got 6 minutes until we lose the trace on the warp signature on Spock. I'm like, on your list of problems, I think you could probably figure out a way to find his warp signature again later. Maybe concentrate on the thing where everyone dies, as opposed to, oh, and we're about to lose that warp signature. So like that, to throw that in as though that was more important than just figuring out this horrible problem they've got. It felt a little weird. Like no, see, Spock's part of this. He's not. You're not going to see him or hear from him. But he's important. He's right there. You just out of reach. He's an episode away. I almost get him. So I would say, though, that one interesting kind of cool way that they they kind of brought the Spock plotline back into it was that they introduced number one. You mentioned that she would be showing up. It's Rebecca Romaine. So Mystique comes on.
The original Mystique.
Right. Good point. Not the original number one.
No.
But so she comes in. It's kind of a cameo, but she's got a few lines.
Sure.
And she says, hey, Spock's disappearance has been categorized like a level 1, which never happens when it's just, that's for giant emergencies, not a single officer. Something's fishy, the way they're classifying this. And I found out his warp signature. Here it is. Good luck. Hope we can find him. So she's the one that kind of initiates I have the thing that'll find Spock.
Yeah.
And do we think we'll see her again? We might see her again.
I'm sure we'll.
She's in dry dock, but I didn't know what exactly that means. Is she hanging out? Were they not on Discovery at that time? I thought they were on Discovery at that when they're having that conversation.
She visited them.
Okay. Right. She visited them on the Discovery.
Yeah.
Right. So she's on the Discovery.
Yes.
She's just visiting. She probably left.
Yep.
I got it. Okay. They were like, oh, and we're gone. Oh, too bad. You have to stay on the ship. Which is kind of what happens with Jet Reno, Tig Notaro's character. I mean, she just shows up suddenly in the engineering.
Well, her ship is, the
Hiawatha's kind of in trouble, but we had hoped that she would show up again, and she does. It was just very sudden. She just walks on, and you can tell that Tilly and Stamets don't know who she is.
Right.
They're like, who are you? What?
Yeah, no.
You should think maybe that you'd want to figure out that the person actually knows engineering before they get into the engineering section. But anyway, I'm just saying, if I walked in there, I was like, hey, I'll push some buttons. You'd be like, don't push the buttons. Who the hell are you?
Well, the IT. Okay. It's a big ship. There are a bunch of people in engineering who sometimes have to come in and do shit.
Yeah,
so,
I call it engineering. Maybe it's not exactly engineering.
It's engineering.
It's engineering.
Well, where they are, maybe it's not
More
so
like,
engineering.
I don't know.
Because they're special. They have 2 drives. Sometimes they use their 4 drives. Sometimes they don't.
I will say this while we're the number 1 conversation with Pike. There were 2 things that caught my attention. One was Pike mentions how there's the current engineer of the Enterprise. His name was like Bouvier, I think, or something like that. And he's like,
"Oh yeah,
no one will ever care about the ship as much as Engineer Bouvier." Whatever. Just obviously waiting for Scotty to show up.
To care even more.
Yeah. But then the other thing.
Wow, I thought the other guy fetishized the ship, but you, woo.
The other thing was, in my opinion, a pretty ham-handed retcon, which was Pike saying like, "Oh, those." I think number 1 said something like, "Oh, the holograms are down again," or he's like, "Oh, those holograms on that ship, they're causing trouble."
Yes.
Well, strip them all out. Let's go back to view screens. Yeah. No holograms on the Enterprise. It looks like I'm talking to ghosts. I don't like it. They're like, oh, okay. So that's how they fixed it. I guess Kirk was like totally cool with it too. Then when he took over, he's like, "Oh, good. I'm glad we don't have holograms."
Yep.
It's like talking to ghosts.
Yep.
I hate them.
Yep. It's like, oh, or maybe he was just, can we get it? Well, it means redoing everything.
We got to go. We got to explore.
Or maybe that's the one time when Spock would get emotional. Like, what? You're gonna change the ship that Pike created?
Also, they have to like Kirk. Anytime he's gonna communicate with another ship, he has to talk to him like, "Hey, I only use view screens, so don't ask me about holograms.
Don't even mention them.
If you don't say why are you not on hologram. Just use view screens. We're all agreed. I'm that ship. Okay, got it. Okay."
Maybe Pike does some really great work. I'm like, wow, how does he do it? Well, the key is I'm not spending all my time looking at holograms.
I would just. I guess
we discussed this earlier. So you had some time now to think about how you would do it. Not go back to the beginning and not have holograms. No.
So that would be my preference. Would be don't have the holograms because the canon's pretty clear on that. Okay, they didn't do that. Great, there's holograms. My second choice would be just have holograms. Then fine. We're in a world where there's holograms. I would not choose this route, which is, oh yeah, we have holograms. Everybody's got them, but I don't like them, so we'll just take them off of the Enterprise. Fixed. That's I don't. So I don't know what the solution is.
Yeah, now. You don't.
I don't.
No. I mean, well, at least I don't. I would not be. I mean, if that had happened, I would not have been happy. I'll grant you that this is not a great solution, but.
You would rather have some even kind of half-assed explanation for why they're not using holograms?
Yep. Okay. I would.
All right.
I would.
Maybe it's this. Maybe it's
which is why
similar to what we're about to talk about with the mycelium network. But maybe it's like actually, this hologram technology, there's a lot of radiation. We didn't know it at first, but it's a special type of radiation we couldn't read before, but we can now. And we're all dying because of it. So we're going to view screens.
I would have accepted that too.
Okay.
It'd be pathetic, just like this one is, but a different kind of
hollow
pathetic.
radiation. That's bad.
Right, like, oh, well,
Okay.
maybe one day we can perfect it to the point where you can touch the holograms.
No, don't go there. That'd be even worse radiation. But let's make a holodeck. Okay.
And maybe you'd be able to have an independent intelligence in there that one day could become smart enough to, if you tell it to be smart enough, then
it outsmarts you. That's how good our technology is. See Moriarty in Next Generation. Okay, so all right. So now there's the storyline of Tilly. Oh, I should mention this. One of our commenters, Alexandra, pointed out something I was actually, I was not aware of. So thank you, Alexandra, for pointing this out. Paul Stamets, our character, is based on a real-life Paul Stamets, who is a mycologist. Sorry, not a microbiologist. He deals with mushrooms and myconids, whatever. Hey, so
and it's interesting. Another aspect of the person who created the show, which was Brian Fuller, who also had a character like that in the show Hannibal.
Right.
Was inspired by that.
So he had a character named Eldon Stamets in Hannibal, who was a villain who killed people, turned them into fertilizer to grow his mushrooms.
Yes,
Hence the tie-in to mushrooms. I'm not sure that's as flattering a reference to Stamets. I'm sure he would take it. But so then Fuller was the first showrunner for Discovery. And so he was obviously the guy who named, I would guess the guy who named Paul Stamets.
Yeah. He created, I think he created the characters in the situation. His initial vision for it was slightly different. It wasn't, I think he wrote the first episode, but very quickly thereafter was not the showrunner anymore.
So do we think that, do we assign the credit/blame for the spore drive to Brian Fuller?
Oh,
then?
yeah.
Yeah, okay. Because it was like, hey, it runs on mushrooms.
Yep.
Here's the mushroom guy.
Yep.
All right. So
so who knows if he had a vision for how they were going to get out of it that was different than these people.
Because in his mind, he was going to have an anthology show.
Right.
So it would be even harder. He would have had to wrap it up within that season if he was going to do it. So, all right. Anyway, spore drive, Stamets, named for a real-life scientist. Thank you, Alexandra. Tilly is still dealing with the after effects of, May was her childhood friend that the spore took over, tried to manipulate her. It wants her to do something. It still wants her to do something. We don't know what that thing is exactly yet. But one of the things it wanted was to contact Stamets and have him, I guess, it's hard to tell what, they didn't, obviously they don't want the Discovery to do any more jumps. That's the bottom line.
Yes.
But was she threatening him? Was she asking? It seemed more threatening than like, hey, could you stop doing it? It seemed more like, you're an enemy. Someone's killing our... Basically, every time that the Discovery jumps and they go through the mycelial network, they're destroying the realm that this being lives in.
Right.
That's what it sounds like.
Right.
So...
I don't know, because her plan for Tilly, it didn't seem like it directly deals with Stamets or the ship at all.
Yeah.
It seems like it's something in her realm that she wants Tilly's help with.
And so by the end of the episode, she pulls Tilly into the mycelial network, I assume. She's not on the ship anymore.
No, I wouldn't be that. I was going to say maybe it's to pull out, Stamets' husband. Get him out of here.
Get him out. He's trapped.
He's trapped and he's destroying things when he's here.
He's like a bull in a china shop, just knocking over mushrooms. We're not sure the, what.
All loose ends
the
tied
loose
up.
ends there. But it seems like Tilly gets saved, and then she's not. And she gets taken into the mycelial network, and that's what the next episode is going to be about. We see in the trailer that the ship appears to be enveloped somewhat in like what appears to be that same kind of giant spore thing. It's like half of the ship is like engulfed in goo.
Right.
Anyway. They in the process of helping Tilly, there's they drill drill a hole in her head.
They do.
Like that's pretty serious. I think I would maybe try other things first. They're like, we have to try to talk to the spore. I think a drill in the head is probably the best way to do it. I'm like, well, why don't we try? Aren't there other? You're risking lobotomizing your crew member.
I feel like I could be wrong.
Okay.
Because they're in the future.
All right.
So maybe it's like, oh, drill to the head. We saw that problem years ago.
Even with this conventional, do you have a laser scalpel? Nope. Just the drill. So we learned that Tilly's favorite song is
Space Odyssey.
Space Odyssey. They sing it together. You were kind of saying that maybe do the drill
as you're doing
it instead of after. Like, I will calming you down. You sing the song. Now, are you done with the song? Good. But the process works. They're able to communicate with the spore. It basically possesses Tilly.
Yes.
And it lets them know that they're killing the mycelium network.
Yes.
And Stamets apologizes for that.
Yeah, and he promises to close it up, to finish it.
And so that was, your hope, I think, and expectation was that that's where this was going.
Yes.
That it would be there's sentient creatures in the mycelial network. Maybe the network itself is sentient. We're not sure, but it's something. You're killing the network, and we can't do that anymore.
No.
So while that's not I think they're going to have to go into the network next week.
Yeah.
So it hasn't been resolved yet.
No.
But that seems to be where it's headed. That eventually there'll be and we'll never use it again.
This time for sure. Pull it out of the ship, so it can't even it's 20 years away by light speed. Oh well.
I know, right?
There's nothing you can do.
Well, because then you'd have the episode almost certainly of. Well, there's a whole planet. 2 billion people are about to die. And we promised we'd never use the mycelial network again. We'll damage the mycelial network some amount, but maybe not 2 billion people amount. All right, use it. Go. It's like you decide when it's ethical to the balance. Okay, go. Right. So they're probably just going to have to do a bright line rule. We're going to have to chug along. And in fact, there's a conversation that I don't really like the conversation, but it's interesting that Jet Reno has with Stamets, where she's arguing for dilithium crystals and that technology, and he's like, "Boo! Spores are great."
Yeah.
So obviously she's going to win out on this argument eventually, where they'll be like, "All right, you can't use the one because you're killing things, so we're going to mine the crap out of these planets to get dilithium."
Right, and potentially, presumably. I mean, once the spore drive is gone, Stamets was talking about leaving the ship. I'd be surprised if he actually did. I mean, I would think they would need to establish a new, either he's always working in a lab on other things, and that's a place they go when they need to have somebody figure something out that isn't,
right, kind of theoretical thing. Figure it out.
As opposed to, because I think they're still that kind of ship where they're supposed to be doing.
Right, they are certainly a science vessel, and we see that actually, played out in this episode a bit, where they're like, "Don't just kill the thing.
That's true.
Let's learn from the thing."
Right,
and so they do, and it works out for them.
So I presume though that they'll set up a place, maybe, probably because I imagine they probably want to have them interact a lot more. Even though I wasn't crazy about Tig Notaro's and Stamets's.
The conversation they had didn't feel like an actual conversation that two people who just met each other would have. It just felt awkward. I don't know. Like the writing, the dialogue was not the best in that scenario. So anyway, that happens a couple of times.
Yeah, but that's what I expect to have happen, because I can't imagine that. It'd be interesting if he was leaving. But I don't think. Yeah,
I think they'll keep the character around.
Yeah.
I think that's one of his character arcs for the season. Will be he'll make the choice to stay.
Yeah, I wonder. That makes me really wonder if they'll, bring
the husband back.
Yeah,
I think that they'll have a goodbye moment. They already had a goodbye moment, though, I guess. But they'll have a second goodbye moment.
Well, if they bring if it's the other,
Oh, you mean in other words, have a legit I'm not in the mycelial network. I'm mirror husband, and here I am, and
Yeah.
I'm actually not evil. Don't worry about the eye patch and the goatee.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly good. Oh, okay, all right, interesting. I didn't think about that.
You know, because otherwise, I mean, the whole our story isn't over yet. It's like, now is it over? I mean,
Yeah, because also the idea that we don't know. We see that May was not May. May was a spore pretending to be May because it read Tilly's mind.
Right.
So is it just the version of the husband he sees is just the spore pretending to be his husband to talk to him, to help him through a situation? That's maybe where we might be going with that. I don't know, but
we'll see.
But yeah. So any other reflections on this episode, sir?
No.
All right. We've got a new Saru. He's bold, brave, and powerful. Doesn't fear anything anymore.
No, he does.
That's probably not going to come back to haunt him at all.
Yeah.
Spock is still just out of episode range,
Yeah.
just out there. And hopefully, maybe we'll see Rebecca Romaine show up again. And it seems like Jet Reno may become part of the crew.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
So anyway, we'll be back with episode 5. In the meantime, we'll be talking Counterpart, getting close to the end of the season.
That's right.
So we're excited about that. Episode 9, we'll be back talking about that on Monday. Bye, everybody.
Bye.